Homicide is the most serious of crimes. So why would a man in police custody for abduction suddenly confess to killing 5 women?
She was right here, and all the blood flowed down. It was just streaming right there.
The most shocking thing when you start watching that video is how normal he looks, how average he looks, how the conversation is so casual.
How did a seemingly charming individual hide such a deadly secret?
He is so able to be trusted and so willing to take women, and have them believe him, but then immediately turn on them and brutalize them and rape them and murder them.
We meet the people who came face to face with the killer within.
He would smile at times, he would gaze into my eyes at times, didn't seem to be bothered whatsoever by admitting all of his crimes.
What is the address to your emergency?
4th Street, Laundromat.
What's the problem?
I've been abducted.
On the 13th of September 2016, a call to emergency services in Ashland, Ohio, was the end of a reign of terror for a serial killer who had got away with murder for over a decade.
Who abducted you?
Shawn Grate. He had me tied up.
Are you tied up now?
Yeah, but I kind of freed myself.
Is he in the same room with you?
Yes. Oh, shit. Oh, shit, I woke him up.
Over the previous 11 years, Shawn Grate had killed 5 women and even lived with the bodies in his house.
Shawn compartmentalized his crimes and how he would carry out his everyday life very well. You would not have known that this man had become a serial killer over the past decade of his life. You just wouldn't.
After every single kill he committed, he felt more empowered to do it again because it reaffirmed his narcissism that he was above the law, that he could do whatever he wanted, police weren't going to catch him, and by the time he got to the 5th murder and was never caught, he just truly felt like he was invincible.
Shawn Grate was born on the 8th of August 1976 in Mansfield, Ohio. He was the youngest of 3 children and felt neglected by his mother.
Grate, as one of the younger children, didn't appear to have had the affections that he needed from his mother and the attachment that was conducive for him.
Shawn didn't start speaking until he was 4 years old, and it could be that he knew his mother wanted that, so he held out and didn't want to do it because he knew that was something that she wanted out of him. So even at a young age, Shawn perhaps was very manipulative.
There are lots and lots of children who don't speak until quite late, especially boys. There are all sorts of reasons why children don't speak, and it's quite often a sign of something going on. And it could be that not speaking got him attention that he wouldn't have got had he spoken.
Grate himself was happy to admit that his family relationship was dysfunctional.
No, I really love my mom, but yeah, there's a love-hate, and it's just been like a boyfriend and girlfriend hate, but it's a mom and son hate.
She withheld love and affection from him and was willing to say things that were often brutally mean to him because that was the way she felt about him. So he felt that women felt that way about him in general, and it actually led him to have these fantasies of both killing his mother and then ultimately fantasize about killing other women.
I think Grate's early experiences of his relationship with his mother during his formative years did have a significant effect on his subsequent offending and his views of women. Life outside the family home wasn't much better for Shawn.
In school, he had difficulties.
He was bullied and ostracized. He went to a school for children with learning difficulties. So what is also coming out quite early on is early developmental trauma. He was also diagnosed with ADHD.
Many of Shawn's early relationships were troubled. From the age of 18, he was regularly reported to police for domestic violence.
This is a man who is a control freak. He needs to control the women in his life to every single thing they say and do. And he uses multiple methods to control them, but he does find violence a particularly effective tool that he's got in his box, because he's quite happy to use violence. In fact, he probably quite likes using violence.
In 1999, Shawn Grate was accused of threatening to kill the girlfriend that he had been with at the time, who was pregnant with his child. This is really significant because it represents this escalation in violent behavior and actually showing this attempt to act on it for the first time. And it also shows this callousness where he was about to have a child with this woman and he still acted upon this internal impulse that he wanted to kill her. And it really shows that nobody was too good or too close to him to be spared of his wrath.
Shawn admitted attacking his former girlfriend and was put on probation for 5 years. However, it still did not stop his violence. In 2003, he was arrested again on 2 counts of domestic violence.
We do know that there is a very strong association between other offending and domestic abuse. If anything, domestic abuse is where they test themselves out, what they can get away with, what they enjoy, how much control you can actually exert over a person.
One former girlfriend gave journalist Cassandra Nist an insight into their relationship.
They dated, I believe, for 7 months. And according to her, she and Shawn had a very violent relationship. Shawn would not let her go out of the house without wondering where she was going, and he was adamant that she'd be back by a certain time. They would get into these physical fights. He would actually hide in the sofa of their apartment and stalk her so he could gain a better perspective of what she was doing all day. Literally would sleep under the cushions in the sofa of their apartment. They eventually had a domestic violence incident and she reported it, and that was the end of that relationship. She could have very easily have been one of Shawn's victims. She's lucky to have gotten away.
In 2006, when Shawn met 23-year-old mother of 2, Dana Lowry, it would be a turning point.
Shawn told me that Lowry was selling magazines door to door while he lived with his mother, and he believed that his mother was not receiving her subscriptions. When he confronted her one day, she offered to pay half of the subscription fees if he'd pay the other half. Shawn thought, no, you're scheming me, this isn't gonna happen. Shawn did not like to feel like he was being taken advantage of. So that day, Shawn would bring her inside of the family's home.
I back her out, I turn her around, she comes towards me, I knock her hands around, knock her whole body around, and just grabbed her like she just meant to be choked up.
Okay.
I mean, it fell right in my hands.
Okay.
I set her back, laid down, and I actually laid down with her. She was laying down. Side by side.
Strangulation is a particular type of assault. It's used as a method of control. I can let you, look, I brought you back. No, see, you do as you are told. You be compliant. You do everything I tell you to do. And it's probably one of the most effective methods of control that there is. But this strangling, bringing back, it's more than just control. It tells us that he loves the control. This is who he is.
She woke up.
She woke up from the strangulation?
Downstairs. Yeah, panicked. I didn't know what to do. Grabbed a knife, kitchen, and stabbed her in the neck. I didn't know what to do.
For Shawn Grate, it seemed like this was an escalating pattern of behavior where he was getting increasingly violent and willing to even act upon these violent impulses. So for him, this first kill, he may have been thinking about or planning for a long time, and it may have actually even taken him by surprise that he was able to finally do it. But it seems like when he did, it felt for him to be a release or positive in some way, because it certainly encouraged him to keep doing it more often in the future.
The murder of Dana was just the start of things to come. Shawn Grate had discovered the killer within.
When I asked him why he stabbed her in the throat, he said, "I had to do it quick. We had company coming over." This would be the only victim that Shawn did not choke to death.
In 2005, Shawn Grate had dumped the body of 23-year-old Dana Lowry on Victory Road in Marion County, Ohio. When she was found 2 years later, police had no clues to her identity.
So the unnamed victim in Marion, I personally started to look at the list of missing people in Ohio to try and figure out who this person was. I think there were a lot of law enforcement officers in the state that were doing the same thing.
Part of the rush of being a serial killer is both in the act itself, as well as reliving it in their minds, but also in the thrill that comes with getting away with it. For the serial killer like Shawn, each time they get away with it, it's just a reaffirmation that this feels good, this is something that he enjoys doing, and he's so narcissistic he thinks it's because he's above the law and he'll never get caught.
This is a man who was able to compartmentalize his anger and his rage and his heinous crimes in one side of his mind and go about his normal life, everyday life, on the other times. This is a man who would open the door for your kids and you wouldn't think anything of it. He didn't look evil by any means. He was charismatic and charming.
For the next 5 years, Grate, now a father of 2, was involved in petty crime and violence in the home. In 2011, he married and started a business making wooden signs.
Shawn Grate was somebody who wanted elements of stability in his life. He would have been a very difficult person to be in a relationship with. That doesn't mean to say he didn't want to have those relationships, but he got married and his wife was pregnant very quickly, had a baby in that first year of marriage, and by the end of that year, she left him. That would have actually been a really dangerous point for her. She's really lucky that she got out.
His life started falling apart. His marriage was ending, and he didn't have a permanent residence after his divorce, so he was kind of floating around from county to county, city to city. Shawn Grate had multiple run-ins with law enforcement. He had drug charges. He had went through a divorce. He had child custody issues going on. He had a domestic violence case. I don't know what was happening in his world, but it was all coming to a head.
Grate had lost custody of his children and his business had closed. He was beginning to spiral out of control.
Shawn did have a job at like a box chain store in Ashland, and he had recently been let go. He was also known at this local soup kitchen. He was a religious person who was going to church, and he would frequent an apartment complex to play badminton, which is how he met 2 of his victims. So people did know him from around the way. You know, the man who's always kind of just walking around town here and there.
By 2015, he had befriended 31-year-old Rebecca Lacey, who would pay the ultimate price for Grate's frustrations.
She was reported missing in 2015. Shawn said that he had known her for a while. Many people knew her as an around-the-way kind of girl, and the 2 were cordial. They knew each other. According to Shawn, they were at a bar one evening playing pool together, And he had told Rebecca, "I'll be right back. I need to use the restroom." In that moment, according to Shawn, he heard his wallet clip zip and noticed that $4 was missing. And he choked her out and killed her. Over $4.
Rebecca became Grate's second victim.
Rebecca Lacey was found in a woods, I believe, and they initially thought that she had overdosed.
Shawn Grate is a narcissist, and what that means is the whole world is as it applies to him. He is the center of his universe, but he thinks that he should be or is the center of everybody else's universe as well. He sees women as something that he's entitled to, but why aren't they responding to him in the way that they should? Why aren't they seeing him for the superior being that he is?
I think that he was able to get away with things for so long because he is a charmer, because he was a nice guy on the outside.
Once again, Grate had killed, and the police had no idea there was a killer on the streets.
Having gotten away with murder for a second time, and in this case, having the police actually rule it as a non-murder death, probably made Shawn even more confident in his own abilities, not just to commit murder and do it with disregard for law enforcement, for the victims, but also increase his own esteem over his abilities and make him feel like he can do it again and again, and that's ultimately what he ended up doing.
No one would have thought he would have been a murderer. I can tell you point blank, he could have been the person sitting next to you at lunch. He could have been the man who opened the door for you and your children going into a restaurant, and you would have never suspected him hiding these crimes. You just wouldn't have pegged him for that type of person.
The following year, Shawn Grate started a new relationship with 29-year-old Candice Cunningham. It followed the same pattern. Things started off well, but yet again, it became fraught with domestic violence.
Candace, I tried to keep her calmed down a lot. I didn't really mean to.
June 2016. This is Candice Marie Cunningham. This is a woman with whom he had been dating for 7 months. Shawn had a very big problem with her having suicidal thoughts and being a, quote, in his words, a pill popper. Leading up to the day that he ended up murdering Candice, they had an explosive argument.
I fought with her for like 3 days. And then it's like, oh, this is, I'm like, oh, okay. So these past 3 days, I mean, you just want me to finish you know? And I grabbed her and that's when I choked her. She passed out. Grabbed her from behind and passed out. I mean, I was irritable. I had enough. I just finished her.
He ended up choking her out, setting the house on fire, then realizing he had to hide the body, and he went back in and dragged her out to the woods.
What seems to be a theme is that it feels that these women are disposable. He can react in whichever way he wants, but he has the ultimate power and control. And no matter what that argument would have been, if Candice was equally sort of trying to assert what she was trying to say, and he was not having any of that. So again, possibly to try and dominate that conversation, but also to try and assert his authority.
Shawn Grate had now taken the lives of 3 innocent women, but his killing spree was not over.
He only could kill more and more, and it never really resolved this internal strife that Shawn had inside him.
It had been 16 months since Shawn Grate had murdered his girlfriend Rebecca in Richland, Ohio, and dumped her body in Woodland. He skipped town and moved to the neighboring county, Ashland. Shortly after he arrived, a local woman known to police went missing.
Elizabeth was kind of irregular. She wasn't a regular in a bad way. She had just called us a lot for neighbor issues and things like that, and we were able to help her through some situations over the years, so many of us knew her pretty well.
Shawn had met 29-year-old Elizabeth Griffith when he arrived in the town. They soon became close.
Elizabeth's relationship with Shawn was just friends. They likely met at the Kroc Center, the local community center, and I think they just became friends.
The fact that Elizabeth was so trusting and almost childlike in nature would make her a prime victim for him. Something that he probably saw in her was her willingness to trust others. I think that he saw that and immediately used it against her.
As was usual in Shawn's relationships, it developed a violent element where he would take control.
Well, Elizabeth, right? And we were just joking, like, how she wished she kind of would die, you know what I mean? It was like, so I'll help you. I just feel like this, you know what I mean? Like,
Shawn would get into situations with Elizabeth where he would start choking her. And he would choke her to the point where she said she wanted to live. And in this instance, she just did not say she wanted to live. So he choked her to death.
like,
Pushing forward and up at the same time.
Right, and she kind of just like whacked my hands and like started flipping out and stuff like that to the point where I had to just like grab her and I just would lean forward and just press. She'd fall down, and even after she stopped breathing, I held on until she messed her pants pretty much.
The most shocking thing when you start watching that video is how normal he looks, how average he looks, how the conversation is so casual. You would think we were talking about the weather rather than a horrific murder.
He stripped her of her clothes, he hog-tied her, and buried her in the bottom of a closet on the second floor of the home he was squatting in. Even went to the great length of duct taping the door frame sealed off all the way around the door so the smell would not get out.
Elizabeth had last been seen on the 16th of August. Police and her family were anxious to find her.
When she went missing, we were actively looking for her. We were interviewing city transit drivers and just doing anything we could to help try and locate her because we knew that her missing, there was something off.
Elizabeth Griffith's body was in a closet in the rundown house on Covert Court where Shawn Grate was living. He didn't run, he stayed in the house. 23 days after Elizabeth's disappearance, police were still searching for her when another local woman, Stacey Stanley, was reported missing.
Stacy,
I'm still thinking about this. What went wrong exactly with Stacey and
I had heard rumblings that she was last seen at our BP in Ashland. We were actively looking. I didn't know anything about her. I just knew that she had come to Ashland and her family last heard from her at that BP station. And after that, she went missing.
It was a chance encounter that gave Grate the opportunity to kill again.
Stacey had pulled into a gas station for a flat tire, and Shawn Grate happened to be walking in the area, and this was a crime of coincidence, really. He didn't know Stacey very well. It was a crime of, oh, here's a victim, I can make this happen. So he helps her change the tire, they drive off, and she is choked out, murdered, and left in the basement of the home Shawn was squatting in. There was no personal connection with Stacey, period.
Stacey entered the house in Covert Court. She didn't come out alive.
But I do remember when she grabbed her mace, and she missed me the first time. And then I turned her around, put her on the bed. She did do this backhand and kind of got me.
Spray again?
Yeah, she sprayed me again. It was a good shot, you know what I mean? But it just, dang, I just lost it. And then I just turned her around, right? Did pretty much the same thing. I just clenched on, did not let go. And
The same hold up, back, and then pushing her head down? Like, same thing?
yeah, same thing. And then I didn't let go.
How'd you know to stop?
I didn't stop even after that for like 2 or 3 minutes.
The way that he described killing Stacy was just so mechanical. He kept holding on to her neck so she couldn't breathe because he wanted to make sure she was dead.
The remains of 2 missing women were now at the house Shawn Grate was using. He had murdered 5 women. Once again, Shawn continued with his life, charming acquaintances. He made another new friend, also a friend of Elizabeth Griffith. The 3 had previously played badminton together. It seemed she found Shawn's wholesome, trustworthy appearance charming.
He told me that they had met at one of our local community centers, and he told me that they had talked about marriage, that they were friends for a few weeks, and they would get into discussions about God and how he has the philosophy that God created sin because God created everything. So yeah, he said overall they get along pretty well.
Shawn said, I wanted to marry this girl. This girl was very religious. She loved helping people, and I think that she was helping Shawn. He never had a bad thing to say about her, and he certainly did not intend on hurting her.
On the 11th of September 2016, Grate took his new friend back to his home and kept her there against her will.
She was kind of put in a position where he was being really nice and he was being very manipulative, and she probably felt at some level, my gut is telling me that there's something wrong with this guy. She was right. There was something wrong, although she couldn't actually put her finger on it. By the time it became very, very clear what was happening, the door was shut and she was in there and she knew there was no escape.
Who abducted you?
Shawn Grate.
Where's she at now?
Asleep.
Detective Kurt Dorsey was dispatched to the scene.
We got a call that there was a female that was abducted, and she was in a house near a laundromat. I didn't think it was real at first because we just don't have that sort of call typically in Ashland, so it just seemed like it was just unreal.
Where's she sleeping at?
In the bedroom.
But you're at the laundromat?
No, I'm in the bedroom with them.
Shawn Grate was asleep beside her. She was desperate not to wake him for fear of what he might do.
It's almost like watching a horror film, that sense of anxiety as you're listening. And if you times that by 100, that's what she was feeling when she's making this call. And she's probably thinking, don't ask me another question. I've already pushed this as far as I can. He's still asleep, but that could change in an instant.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit, I woke him up.
The 13th of September 2016, police officers in Ashland, Ohio had received a call from a woman claiming to have been abducted. They didn't know it yet, but her abductor had already killed 5 women. Officers were racing to find the caller, but there was a problem. They didn't know her exact location.
I couldn't find her, and I knew I needed to find her. I came around the corner of the wrong house and looked towards the other house, and I saw her hand outstretched in the glass, a sight that I'll never forget.
The door is locked. No, the bedroom door had no door in it. This one, it's locked. You can't get out.
We all just ran to the door, and I think I would have went through a wall if I had to get to her. I will never forget her face when she came to the door. That's burned in my mind forever.
The kidnapped victim was safe. Relieved, officers then went in search of the man who had abducted her.
Where is it?
Bedroom, please.
Unarmed?
Yeah.
Right. You need to go. Right now. Do it.
We found Grate. He was in a bedroom. It was deplorable, the conditions. I mean, it was dirty and disgusting. His reaction when we first came in was somewhat groggy. And once he came to and realized what was going on, he was super nice and cordial. I mean, there was no resistance whatsoever.
Officers took Shawn Grate out to the patrol car, thinking they were dealing with an abduction.
He was nice. I mean, it's crazy. He was very cordial and nice. I was interviewing him for breaking into a house and potentially sexually assaulting the victim that called. His demeanor in the back of the police car was very relaxed. At one point, he was actually cuffed behind the back, and I had to walk away for a second. And when I came back, he flipped his cuffs to the front by slipping his legs through his arms, basically. So he was very relaxed back there. Normally that would be an issue, but with him, I felt comfortable in just letting him continue to sit that way. I knew that something bad had happened, and this guy needed to be treated well to build rapport for interview purposes and such.
Grate was taken to Ashland police station and held in custody for the abduction of the 37-year-old woman known as Jane Doe.
I actually took Shawn to the station, and he was interviewed by one of our detectives, and I listened to that interview from another room.
During his interview with police, Shawn Grate revealed that if they searched the house, they would find 2 missing women they had been looking for.
How many before lethal injection?
Who else? Who else are we gonna go find?
So I didn't find out that there were 2 dead bodies in the house right away. And as information started to come out, I was able to actually call the on-scene detective and let him know that there was a body upstairs in a closet. Then shortly after, as he was continuing to talk, I was able to call that same detective again and let him know that there would be a body in the basement as well.
September 13th, we learned the identity of one of the women, and it is Stacy Stanley. The Stanley family arrived to the police department and were able to identify their mother's remains by tattoo and jewelry. It's not till the next day that we learn the identity of Elizabeth Griffith.
The 2 local missing persons cases had been resolved with the worst possible outcome. Finding Elizabeth in particular was difficult for detectives.
Many of us knew her pretty well. A lot of us at the police department took it hard that she was killed in that way.
Once Grate started talking, he didn't stop. In the interviews with Detective Kim Major of the Ashland County Police, he had more disturbing revelations.
Shawn now is confessing not only to the crimes at hand in front of everyone, Shawn admits to 3 other murders.
Now he was telling officers that he was responsible for the deaths of Rebecca, Dana, and Candace. He likely was admitting to these other women's deaths in part because he knew he was already going to prison for the first 2 women that he admitted to killing. But he also probably felt some sense of gratification, not just from feeling like he could get this off his chest, that he'd been carrying it around, but in a way, rubbing it in the police's face that he had done this, and some of these women, they didn't even know that he had killed.
Grate was arrested after a woman he allegedly abducted called 911, leading police to rescue her at an abandoned home. They discovered 2 bodies at that scene and a 3rd elsewhere.
News of the arrest spread. Local TV producer Cassandra Nist made her way to the Ashland County Jail to see if she could speak with a serial killer face to face.
Shawn decided to speak with the media. I arrived to the jail armed with about 50 questions that I wanted to have answered. We had an idea of the number of people that he had murdered, but that hadn't been confirmed, at least publicly. We did not have names confirmed for some of those people. We certainly did not know how he had murdered those people. My main goal was to get him to confirm the identities of these women. But you want to believe that this man's gonna be your type A villain. Scary looking, creepy, kind of the type of person that'll send chills up your spine. That was not the case whatsoever. I look up and Shawn's standing there staring at me. He had his glasses on, looked like he had just woken up and gotten out of bed. But he was smiling. He was in a good mood.
The women murdered by Shawn Grate had one thing in common. They were in vulnerable situations, and they didn't suspect there was anything sinister about him.
Shawn Grate would profile his victim first. He would find out what their vulnerable spot was. And that doesn't necessarily mean a fragility. For example, with one of his victims, he knew that she was incredibly religious. So he knew if he engaged her in religious conversation, if he presented himself as very religious as well, he was in. He was in. That was his manipulation.
The common feature that we see across these women is that they were very trusting and loving, and it's in a way exactly what Shawn needed. He didn't feel like he had that earlier in life, so you can understand why he was searching it out. But at the same time, turning that against them and using that trust that they gave to him against them and using it to kill them is just so abhorrent.
Grate was reveling in the attention his crimes were receiving.
Often you'd see Shawn sitting on his cot reading the Bible, but when the 4, 5, and 6 o'clock news came on, he would stand up and just stare at the television. He was watching his crimes be announced to the world. He was watching his reign of terror play out in the media, all channels just surfing all day. I think that he truly enjoyed watching himself on television and just the terror he has unleashed on this quiet Ashland community. Now I'm starting to wonder if this is all for self-gratification, and he's proud of what he's done.
His enjoyment would soon come to an end. On the 23rd of April 2018, Shawn Grate faced trial in Ashland County Courthouse for the murders of Stacey Stanley and Elizabeth Griffith.
I will tell you, Shawn is afraid of the death penalty. The one thing he said to me in jail, I said, "Are you afraid of what happens now?" And he said that he didn't want to be put to death. He wanted to do his time and spend the rest of his life thinking about what he had done. He was very afraid of the death penalty. He didn't want anybody injecting him with anything.
On the 1st of June 2018, Shawn Grate was sentenced to death for the murders of Stacey Stanley and Elizabeth Griffith. But his time in court wasn't over. He had to answer for the deaths of 3 other women: Candace Cunningham, Rebecca Lacey, and Dana Lowry. It was showtime once more. Grate pleaded guilty.
Why be an average serial killer? Let's tell them about a few more. Let's raise my status. Let's make myself even more important. Let's try and get some kind of title of worst serial killer ever. And the higher the body count, the more important he becomes.
On top of his death sentence, Grate was sentenced to life without parole for the murders of the 3 other women.
I asked Shawn, did you have any influences that may have triggered this type of behavior? Had you watched violent news stories, violent television shows that may have produced these violent tendencies within yourself? Shawn said no. Shawn flat out said, this is an out of character behavior for me.
They often say that the people that you are interested in later in your life are a reflection of your relationships with your parents. And it does seem like there was this replication of the relationship he had with his mother with these other women. However, he was not able, either through his own willpower or his own desires, to kill his mother, but he certainly did take that out on the women that he dated or just had an interest in.
People kill for different reasons. So Shawn Grate, why was he killing women? I don't think the killing of them was the moment of joy for him. It was the control, it was the lead up, it was the continued pressure to the neck and the fear and the terror and the feeling of power that it gave him.
So I asked Shawn if he was remorseful about any of his crimes, and he said he was about 50-50. Because some women he felt deserved it, some women he felt he was helping.
Shawn Grate had got away with murder for years. Once he was caught, it seemed he was happy to reveal the killer within that he had been hiding for so long.
He's a narcissist. He loves the attention. He's got his true place in life up on this pedestal with everybody wanting information from him, wanting to know why he did things, you know, wanting to get inside his head. This is, all his Christmases come at once, really, for him.
Shawn always had these impulses that made him know he could use his charm to get what he wanted, and he was very aggressive from a very young age. But once he realized and put this all together, that he could charm people to give him initially what he wanted, and when they no longer did it, he could use violence and aggression to force them to do what he wanted or to end their lives as punishment, it really just combined to bring out this killer within him.
The only thing that I still wonder about this case is, are there more victims? We hear from so many FBI profilers that there are probably more victims out there.